I often get that question, like, does the school help you? Well, no. You have to apply and...
Welcome to my ongoing series, Life in France, where I talk to people who have successful careers here in France. Today we're speaking with Anastasia, who pursued entrepreneurship after her studies at ESSEC Business School. We're browsing 3 themes in this interview. Firstly, the apprenticeship track. Here's what it can do for you.
And the main thing is that the company pays your tuition fees.
So you have no debt?
No debt, no. Big numbers are out, and they also pay you a salary.
We're also talking about how she started off her entrepreneurship journey. This thing is really inspiring for me. Here's what she achieved in less than a year of starting her entrepreneurship journey. There was this really amazing image I have in my head when I think about you, is when you met all of your clients at a cafe in Paris after they moved over here. Yeah. That's amazing. That should have felt really rewarding,
amazing.
Right?
Oh, it's extremely rewarding.
And finally, how she obtained the French nationality. I hope you enjoy our conversation.
Thanks so much for coming in, Anastasia. It's so nice to have you.
Thank you, George. Thanks for inviting me.
I have a really curious place that I'd like to start this recording on.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what it's like to be an entrepreneur. That's something that I have considered for myself. Mm-hmm. You're roughly my age, and you're doing what I want to do. What does it feel like? I want some details.
Okay. Wow. That it feels great. It's something I really always wanted. I knew that at some point I'm going to quit my stable job and go for it. So it's really exciting. That's one thing. And then there are ups and downs. And there's a lot of stress, but in a different way. You can be stressed at work, like I worked at L'Oréal as you. I worked in consulting, and it was a lot of pressure and stress. But when you are with your company, you can get up and do nothing, and nobody's gonna fire you, and it's okay. You don't have to ask anyone for holidays. But if you don't do stuff, if your company doesn't advance, your project doesn't advance. It all depends on you and what you do on a daily basis, and that's a lot of responsibility and then stress and anxiety, because it's also another thing that you have to deal with is uncertainty. You don't know. You're just trying to do stuff, to do different actions and see what works, but you never know if it's going to work or not. And I also had a very big fear of failing at all. Like, okay, I told everyone and the entire LinkedIn and Instagram that I left my job to do a startup, and that's it's me putting pressure on myself, but still. But every tiny win is extremely exciting. I think much more than when you work for someone.
I'd really like to spend more time on this entrepreneurship thing, but before we get to that as a destination, I'd like to start a little bit about hearing about you. You're not French like most people in France.
No.
Everybody here is French, so the questions they ask themselves is different than a foreigner would. And then we can talk about your school life, and then eventually about your entrepreneurship.
Perfect.
Cool. Where are you from, Anastasia?
I'm from Russia. I'm now also French, but I came to France from Russia in 2014.
2014.
Yeah.
And you came here for school?
Yes.
Gotcha. 2014, what were you studying? A bachelor degree or?
I came for my master's, but I actually did a wrong master's first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Really? I didn't tell you that story.
We know each other for a bit now.
Yeah. I did a really wrong, well, I made a couple of wrong choices on the way. I did a great school back in Russia, and I wanted to come to France and work in luxury. That was my thing. And
what were you studying in Russia before though, by the way?
Economics and finance.
Gotcha.
It's a business school. And so I came to France, and I had a master in a school that was not even like recognized by the state. It was not prestigious at all. And on the way, I met French people, and I interned at L'Oréal, and I found out that I had to do a grande école.
Gotcha.
And then I went to a business school, to ESSEC.
That's a great school. How do you get in?
I loved ESSEC, really. I got in like everyone, applying with the whole application file was different. Essays, CV, recommendation letters. I passed the GMAT, the interview, and all the application process that you also mentioned in your content. So same as you. Mm-hmm.
And your GMAT score must have been stellar, with a great essay and everything if you got into the school, right?
I scored 730.
Damn. Kicking it, aren't we?
And it was really helpful because when I came back to France for ESSEC, I actually I was teaching GMAT for first couple of years, so GMAT served me as well in the first years. Yeah, and then I also had good grades for my bachelor, and I really crafted the essays for long and stuff. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was really complicated, but yeah, I got in.
Iterative process. You made something on your essay, you didn't like it, and then you changed a couple of things, and then it was a finished work.
Yeah. I actually worked with a coach on
Okay.
my essays, and it also inspired me later to do my coaching activity, helping others, because I saw how it works and I saw how helpful actually his work was for me. And on a side note, I also got to HEC, and I didn't go there.
What? I'm discovering how less I know about you. Why did you not go to HEC?
Because HEC is a great school. Because ESSEC gave me a bigger scholarship, and also because ESSEC had this apprenticeship opportunity. So it's
Right.
a work contract where you can work for a French company and finance your studies like that. So in the end, ESSEC was free for me, and there was no such opportunity at HEC. There was also a very strong luxury expertise and track in ESSEC that I really liked. I really wanted to join that program. So all these factors made the choice perfect for me, and never regretted. ESSEC is the best.
What was your stay in school like? Like, I think I've spoken about mine. It was not my favorite time of life. What was it like for you?
I loved it, but I know that I didn't. How to say that? I didn't take advantage of everything that ESSEC has to offer. J'en ai pas profité assez, because in my first year I was focused on finding my apprenticeship. I was like, I have to find this
Yeah,
contract.
yeah.
It's like super important. I was I came to ESSEC in October, and from January I was just applying and passing interviews, and I really wanted to do it in the luxury field, and there was not a lot of offers and stuff. And then I got to my apprenticeship, and for the next 2 years I was only coming to Cergy for classes.
3 years of apprenticeship, right?
2 years.
2 years.
So first year I didn't have the legal right to do the whole apprenticeship contract, and then I did it for 2 years.
Why not? Because you're a student?
No, because actually when you're a foreigner outside of the EU, you have to live 1 year in France before, and my previous 1 year and a half didn't count because I left.
Gotcha.
I left France for 6 months, and it started from scratch basically.
Start from scratch again.
Yeah.
Okay. Which company did you get an apprenticeship in?
Printemps, which is a department store in Paris.
Oh, the big fancy store.
The big fancy store. Yes, the big fancy store. And my first year was in beauty buying. So I was negotiating with beauty brands, and the best part of the job was looking for small beauty brands and asking them to send us products to test. That was super exciting. And then my second year I did in marketing and CRM. Same in Printemps.
In Printemps as well.
Yeah.
Damn, that's so interesting. I know many people have asked me about this, and unfortunately I don't have the answer because I did not do apprenticeship. For those of you who don't yet know what an apprenticeship is, I spoke about this briefly before. It's this thing you do. Actually, I should ask you, what is apprenticeship?
I have a long video on my channel about all the details, but briefly, it's a contract between you, a French company, and your school, and you do both studies and work. So, for example, I was working in the office for 3 days and going back to ESSEC for classes for 2 other days. But there are other ways also to mix, like by trimester or by weeks and so on. And the main thing is that the company pays your tuition fees.
So you have no debt.
No debt. No. You have nothing to pay. Well, maybe some administrative fees. Maybe I don't know. I guess I paid maybe 200 euros or something. But overall,
Big numbers are out.
Big numbers are out, and they also pay you a salary. So it's
Super.
amazing. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's awesome. And then you graduate from your MIM with 1 or 2 years of experience. So it's amazing.
It's perfect. Among the Indian crew that you guys have been watching that make videos on MIM, so myself, Vikram, Mayank, and Arif, that gives our point of view, and of course each of our story is quite unique. But then hearing your journey as well, when I saw your YouTube channel, I think it is so interesting to hear the decisions that you made and the path that you chose. So if you guys are considering to study in France, you should definitely check out Anastasia's channel as well. Spoken about the apprenticeship track and other things related to France, the language and everything that goes with the complexity about living in France. So the application for the apprenticeship itself, was that more difficult than getting into the school for you, or?
No. No, I think it's actually a great question. It's roughly the same. Because, getting into ESSEC is quite competitive, but then once you're in, it's not over. Like, you have to find your internship or apprenticeship yourself, and no one's really helping you. Like, the school is doing a lot of things. Like, they create events and career fairs, and they invite companies. They give you contacts, or there's a whole network of alumni, and that's amazing. But you have to go and contact people and apply yourself, of course, because I often get that question, like, does the school help you? Well, no. You have to apply and and look for possibilities and pass the interviews and stuff. So I took 6 months, because sometimes also ESSEC was very strict on some conditions, like it should be 2 years long. It's not the case anymore. It had to be 2 years long with a specific rhythm, so you have to be a lot in school, and some companies were not very open to it. So sometimes at last stages of interviews I got refusals because of these things. So it took some time, but in the end, ESSEC name and ESSEC network, it works, and all the students I know who wanted an apprenticeship, they all found it. So
that is amazing.
Yeah.
No, honestly, back when I was at EDEC, I heard about this and I wanted to apply. I went to my school and I asked them, can I apply? They said it's only for French people. This was the case at EDEC back in the day.
Way.
In 2016.
Okay.
Yes, it was the case. I walked back with my tail between my legs. But that was not the best news to digest in. But was this the case that at ESSEC every foreigner could also apply?
Yes, every foreigner could apply. There is this new law that exists maybe since I don't know, 6-8 years, something like that, that you have to spend 1 year in France.
At that point, okay.
Before starting your contract.
I think they said that in a different way to me, because I was applying 6 months in. I think they were, instead of saying you should spend here a year, they were telling me that you're not French.
maybe, but they are wrong, or maybe it's just the rule of the school. But it seems surprising to me. And I guess now in EDEC they also allow foreigners to do apprenticeships.
Okay, so nothing but good news for you guys if you're applying, that you can do the apprenticeship. I have also noticed in my company that people who come in as an apprentice versus an intern, they're already given far more amount of responsibility. They stay there for longer, so they learn more. They're taken more seriously.
Yeah.
Was that your experience?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
also?
for sure. It depends on the company a lot and on the team. But since you're there for a longer time, logically, you grow more within the company. They would trust you more projects, and interns are there just for 6 months, and I think it's after 6 months that they started giving me like more serious projects. They gave me my own little tiny portfolio of brands to manage, and then for my second year, all the team was very open for me to change teams, to see something else, to grow, and I already was part of the company. So yes, for sure, when you're an apprentice, you're not yet manager or a junior analyst or consultant if you go to consulting, but still, yes, they give you more responsibility, I think, than the interns. Yeah.
That sounds really great. I don't regret not having done it, but really interesting to hear the things that you're saying. So you'd spend a majority time at work, and how many days would you go to school for the next 2 years?
2 days. 2 days per week. And sometimes, since ESSEC is very flexible in terms of your courses and curriculum, I could put all my classes in one day and just have another day free. Really, it's super flexible. You really construct your classes and your schedule the way you want.
How is that possible? As a teacher, if I'm only available on, let's say, a Thursday, and I say Thursday and Friday you have to come to school, what would you do as a student?
Well, basically every trimester you have a whole catalog of courses and classes available for this trimester, and then you choose. And there is also this weird bidding system. You have to bid points. It's like very common in American universities, I think. It's because some classes are more popular than others, and sometimes there is a chance you're not going to get the class you want. Like, you have to bid the points to s'inscrire. Sign up for a class, and then before the start of trimester you see if you got it or not. And since I didn't have a lot of days available, I wouldn't pick a lot of classes. I always got the ones I wanted. And basically, my company was also quite flexible. So every trimester I would say, I need to be in school on Tuesday and Friday. And they're like, Okay.
Oh, gotcha. No,
Yeah.
I think I know a lot about MIM, but this is news to me. I didn't know it was so flexible.
It's also the company and ESSEC that is very flexible. I think, for example, like they really wanted me to be there on Mondays because we had team meetings and stuff. So I would never, I'd never sign up for classes on Mondays. So yeah, there is like this tiny details, but in the end, I got all the classes that I wanted in the ESSEC, so it was that was good.
Another friend of mine at EDEC, this French person who was telling me about her alternance, she shared that it was a little stressful because she was living two lives at once.
Yeah.
She had to be a good student and a good employee.
Yeah.
What was your experience around stress during alternance?
That's definitely a part of the whole apprenticeship path. And you said that you don't regret it. And I mean, there are advantages and disadvantages in it as well. One of them is that you really have to combine the two. And I would sometimes do work during classes, and sometimes I would finish class assignments at work, and it can be a bit messy. But it really depends, again, on the company and if they are respectful of your school time or not. Because some companies just don't care that you have classes and exams, and they would just give you a lot of work no matter what. I was very lucky on that point, but yes, there was stress. Then there is also the thing that apprenticeships are not available in all companies and not in all teams. For example, initially I really wanted a position in marketing, but they would prefer having interns rather than just
Because then
someone
they
for
don't
3
leave in
days.
6 months, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
So yes, there is less flexibility actually in terms of job positions for alternance. So pros and cons everywhere.
Okay. It sounds heavy. At the end of it, did you feel like it's time for you to décompresser un peu after having done an intense school plus alternance, or you kind of felt like this is life, I can handle?
This is life.
Oh, okay.
This is life. Yeah, I also had a blog at the same time.
Okay. So you did have some energy left out.
Yeah. So I did have some time and energy left out. Yeah, I started my blog during my apprenticeship.
About the GMAT, how did you do it?
Oh, the GMAT teacher wakes in me. So basically, I think I took 3 months to prepare. As I said, I had a degree in economics and finance. So I did a lot of math in Russia in English. That helped a lot. That helped a lot. So it was like the whole math part. It was easy, relatively easy. So for me, GMAT was only about practice. First, I would just do several blank tests and see, okay, what are the topics? And there is a limited number of topics in the GMAT. Like there's going to be no surprises at the exam. So you just list all the topics, and you figure out what's more complicated, what's less complicated for you, and double down on what you find complicated and trying to figure it out.
You got the book and everything?
Yeah. I had the official guide, and I also got some more advanced books. I had an amazing book that is actually available for free. You can just Google it. With 700 math problems. It was
Okay.
Really great.
You did all the problems?
Not all.
Okay.
Not all.
So you're just smart. That's basically it.
Not all, but it's okay. I really think that with training, anyone can have a decent GMAT score. And then actually in the end, I thought that I was better in a verbal than in math, but in the end, no. I had a higher score in verbal. That is, I found out actually is rare in the GMAT, so it kind of pushed my score to the 730.
Two other themes I want to explore with you in interest of time. But perhaps if there's something that's interesting for people to ask around how she did her GMAT. I'm not the guy because my GMAT score was terrible. I like barely scraped my way into EDEC. But questions on how you trained for it, how much time did you spend on it? If that's interesting, please let me know in the comments, or better yet, reach out to Anastasia on her YouTube channel so that she can answer those questions to you. I can't answer those questions because I did not do it myself.
I have a video about GMAT, but I probably have to update it and add some new stuff also since the format changed and stuff, and yeah.
Gotcha. No, that's really, and it's not so interesting for me because I'm not going to do GMAT myself. So, but if you're interested, please reach out to us. I want to browse the second theme, which I find very interesting in your profile, hearing about you and stuff, is all the creative stuff that you do alongside, that you did alongside school and work, and that you converted into an entrepreneurial hustle today. That's amazing. Like that's what I want to do. Can you please talk about that? When did this idea first come to you? What were your success KPIs back in the day? What helped you take the plunge? How did all this happen?
I had a blog before, so I think I had a blog like always, just writing some text on a very old Russian website, followed by 3 friends of mine.
You're a writer.
And I love writing, actually. That's my favorite part in the whole creative process. And then I moved to Paris. I started writing about France and Paris. Okay. And then I think it kind of ça a décollé when I started writing about how I got into HEC, ESSEC, and all other schools. And I started writing more about it on Instagram. And I was also, since I was also teaching GMAT in Paris, and I started coaching French people on how to get into some good business schools, I started writing about that as well. And eventually people started coming to me and asking advice and asking questions, and I started giving consultations. And then my blog was just on Instagram. It was just growing. And
Hang on, what do you mean by blog on Instagram? You were writing like the
yeah, that was the thing in the Russian-speaking Instagram at the time. We read texts on Instagram. So I had posts. There would be a picture, but it's not the picture that mattered. It was the text and the content I was giving. And since I didn't have a lot of time, I only had one platform, and it was Instagram. And everything was there.
This is when you were a student in France.
Yeah.
Your masters.
Yeah.
Okay. Before you did your alternance, you were already spending your time writing.
Yes. Even before, I started a bit before the alternance. Then I started also talking about how I got the alternance and how is it like, how does it feel to work in France. Then I got my CDI, and I kept going basically, and people kept coming.
Wow.
And I also did some advertising and collaborations with other creators. And that's how the blog was growing steadily. I started doing online courses and helping my clients come to Europe and start their master programs here. So, yeah.
There was this really amazing image I have in my head when I think about you, is when you met all of your clients at a cafe in Paris after they moved over here.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That should have felt really rewarding,
amazing.
right?
Oh, it's extremely rewarding. Yeah.
Before you started it as a business, you were already helping people and they were already getting here. Is that the case?
Yes. Well, I started just like, writing about it, just answering questions, like, people would send you a message and you just answer to it. And then at some point, since I was also coaching French guys here, I was like, yeah, okay, well, that would be a consultation that costs X euros. And then
French guys on GMAT or?
GMAT, and then I started coaching them as well.
On what?
On, for example, it would be a person who did a bachelor in France or abroad and who would like to go to HEC or to Bocconi or to LBS, and I helped them writing their essays through that school where I was teaching GMAT. It's just at some point I had more Russian clients than French guys from that school, so I stopped and I stopped teaching GMAT at some point. I couldn't see it anymore, and moved only to like coaching on admissions. Yeah.
At what point did it click for you after your alternance, because it's long, that all right, cool, this corporate thing was awesome, but I think I'm going to go back to my creative stuff and be an entrepreneur who's making money off of her own ideas?
Well, I finished alternance, and then I did 2 years and a half of CDI, so it clicked. It was like clicking all the time, but it was not enough because it was just like side thing, a blog. So I did the whole full-time consulting job, and my blog was also like on the side. And I couldn't do more like LinkedIn, YouTube and stuff. I only had time to keep going with Instagram, and it kept going well. And so basically, getting into another theme, once I got my citizenship, and I kind of secured a few things in France, like a job contract, some money, citizenship, apartment, and then I was like, okay, well, now...
You bought an apartment?
Yes.
Damn, you're so adult, man. I feel like a child.
Adult life. Adulting. Yeah. So after that, I was like, okay, now maybe I can drop the CD. I can try.
I like to think about this like sitting on a stool, and your stool has like 3 or 4 legs. I think one of the most important legs is having a nice community of friends that you
Yeah,
that
for sure.
where you belong. Another stool is having a nice income, not just the money, but going to a place to spend your time and to feel useful.
Yeah.
That's the second one. And the third one is, at least for me, is having a creative expression, something that is my own that
Yeah.
I'm able to put out. For you, which are your stool legs? Like, I think you need a minimum of 3 to be stable. What
Yeah.
would be your legs?
I think citizenship and stability in France was definitely one of the legs, because otherwise you always feel stressed about it in France. All your actions are, you do all the professional and academic choices with that in mind.
Yeah.
You always keep that in mind. I have a visa question always kind of somewhere in the air around me. Then definitely the community of friends and feeling integrated and feeling that you belong here. And I do feel like I belong here. I have my different communities actually, both French and not French. Yeah, being épanoui and happy with your work is definitely a very important leg. And I liked my job in consulting. I was happy with my choice, but I had the urge to do something on my own. I wanted to create. I wanted to have my own activity. I wanted to be free. So I think that the third leg for me is a mix of creating something and enjoying like your professional life and feeling free. Like I'm free to do what I want with my company. So that's amazing.
That sounds to me. I used to work in a sandwich bar, and I felt like an idiot because basic instructions I could not follow on. And then when I got a job where I felt that I'm not an idiot, it felt better because now I can go to work without any shame, without any negative feeling. I could feel like I'm capable. I can do this. Is that what you mean in your third leg, where in your creative expression and
Yes.
your income,
Yes.
you feel capable?
Yes.
Is that
Yeah,
what,
for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and for you that happened like 2 years into your CDI.
Yes. So basically, after 2 years and a half of CDI, I felt ready, because honestly, it took time. I was not ready to do it before. There is a lot of things to do before. Like you have to be sure that there is a demand for your service, that something is possible, like you can build something on that market, and you have to believe in the potential of your idea. So it took time. And my idea was that I want to scale it. I want to go find international clients, not only Russian-speaking people. That I want to explore other platforms for creating content, and then I want to also create some. I want to create a platform that will help more students, and that would not depend on my time only, because I only coached students like myself, or in groups or individually. I was not ready to do it before, so a lot of preparation, and at some point I was like, okay, it's time.
Let's get in.
Let's get in.
Were you making roughly the same as your CDI money per month on your side thing when you made the decision?
No,
you
maybe
were not?
no, maybe
You're
half
brave.
of it. Maybe half of it. Yeah.
Okay, and that definitely impacts your quality of life. How many times you can go out, for example.
For sure.
It limits that because.
Yes. Yes.
How did
I
you
changed
just
it-
brave that way usually? This kind
It
of.
changed my lifestyle completely. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it changed my lifestyle for a while, but I know that it's okay. I was ready for it. I had to make some compromises on the way, and now it's growing, so I feel more like I believe in it, and I know that I'll get to my consulting revenue and higher. And then I'm also very lucky to sometimes take on some freelance consulting missions, which is like in sponsoring also the development of the company. So this is great. So I do a lot of things at the same time.
Man, there's so much respect for this man because I have more questions for you, but I think we should transition into the third theme that we were talking. I wanted to ask you about everything around this nationality thing.
Yeah.
If I am an Indian student who is considering to move to France for school, which are the top 2 or top 3 things I should focus on if I'm looking for nationality? What should I spend my time on improving today?
So one of the very important things when you apply for the citizenship is what they call insertion professionnelle. So basically your professional path, and that you're secure and stable in France. You have a job, you have an income, you're on CDI likely, all these things. So your job will be the main basis for your application. You can also be an entrepreneur, you can also be a profession libérale, and so on. But if, for example, you're an entrepreneur, you have to show, I guess, 3 years of stable income and show your tax declarations and stuff. When you're on CDI, CDI, which is a permanent job contract in France, basically once you have it and once you validated your trial period, you can apply. That's it. So the professional side is very important, and to secure your professional side, well, you have to get into a great school and find that job. So for me, everything starts with picking the right academic program and picking the right school, because it really helps a lot in France to find a well-paid, prestigious job, like at a great company. With a grande école, it's much easier. So it all kind of starts there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You speak flawless French, but how important do you think is the prowess, linguistic prowess of knowing French? What is that weight for the citizenship application?
It's a lot. I think it's a lot. I think officially you have to show that you have B2 level. But at the same time, you will have the interview. When you send all the documents and then they call you for an interview, you have to show fluent French. And overall, French is also very important for your job search and overall for your integration in France. So after you get admitted into your master, like the next day you start working on your French.
Wow.
It's so important.
Yeah, no, I feel you. When people ask me this on my channel as well, I say, because French is so close to my heart and it has opened so many doors for me. So I would really push people to learn French.
Yes.
How did you learn French? How are you so good?
Thank you. I started learning French back in school in Russia. It was my second foreign language after English, and I just loved French. I loved everything that is French. I was a francophile, and then during my university years, I had some additional classes of French, and then I came to Paris, and I thought I speak and understand French, and but then the French of conversational French and professional French is very different from what you learn during classes. So I learned much more and much faster here once I got into the language environment. So internship at L'Oréal and then working, my whole alternance was in French.
That's it? Wow. So just the work part and the second language back in Russia part.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and then, well, I also started to hang out with French people at ESSEC and through friends, and I was kind of surrounded by French. So, yeah, and then it's fine. At some point, it's okay.
May I ask, did you have a lot of Russian classmates / friends when you were here as a student, or no?
Not so much.
Okay.
Not so much.
So that helps. It focuses you on the French.
Yes. Most of my Russian friends, I've met them through Instagram, actually.
Oh,
yeah.
In France?
Yeah.
Not in the school and stuff?
No.
Okay, so I'm hearing that does help, yeah? Because then you're forced to make friends with the French folk and then you end up speaking French.
Yes, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, there's so much more I can ask you. I'll probably have you over again. But I think that sounds like a great time to end our discussion. Anastasia, if these guys want to reach out to you, how would they do that?
So I have a YouTube channel that you will find in the description, and Instagram as well. I have a new English-speaking Instagram. Reach out to me if you have any questions or if I can help you. And yeah, that's it. We'll put, I think, my website as well, and yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. So we'll put it all, and whatever's best for you, you can reach out to me and I'll be happy to help.
Thanks, Anastasia. Great chat. How do we end this shit?
Thank you so much, Josh, for inviting me. It was a great chat.
Yeah, it was a great chat. Thanks for coming. See you guys.
Back when I moved to France, I was clueless about all these things. I had bigger fish to fry. I was not worrying about my nationality or about my driver's license, for instance, because back then all that mattered was to polish up my CV and to get a fancy job that can pay back my debt as soon as possible. My pieces of advice on assimilating in France and getting a fancy data job is the topic of my MIM series. I also invite other people on this series that studied the same thing as I but chose to work in different fields like marketing, like entrepreneurship, or luxury or finance, things that I don't know. If you're contemplating studying in France or you're already here, then this series should definitely be valuable for you. There's another playlist called the Skills playlist where I talk about the stuff that I'm currently working on because I've never done that in the past. I did not document how I learned French, how I learned video editing, and all these other things that I've been spending my time on before. That's the objective of my skills play. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, please leave this video a thumbs up. It definitely helps my channel. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys on the next one. Keep learning.